Fire, fire, fire.
This is the Harry Potter reboot. Uh-oh. People are not happy, chat.
Does anyone want to pass to say the inward?
Me!
Potter,
Me!
do you know what the inward is?
Just a reminder that any profits made from the new Harry Potter show is going to be used to fund anti-trans organizations.
Looked in the
Man, they're gonna hate what McDonald's does with their profits. Or OnlyFans. Or any corpo company.
online, and there were photographs of Nick Frost as Hagrid.
Yeah, so
I
along with
love this guy. This is the director for the first 3 movies. He's awesome.
the new Harry Potter walk. And I'm thinking, and he's wearing
It
the
was first
exact
two,
same
maybe?
costume that we
I think it was
designed
maybe
for Hagrid.
first
Part
two.
of me was like, what's the point?
Why?
Because they wanna tug on your nostalgia strings. Chris Columbus, didn't he do E.T. as well? He's a great director. He really is magical. I think he had an insanely great reputation for working with all the kids at the Hogwarts. You know, like at on the set and stuff. Everybody loved them. They were super nice.
They keep
E.T.
doing?
Spielberg. Oh, it was Home Alone. Yeah, sorry, you're right. It was Home Alone. Yeah, not E.T. That, yeah, you're right.
This.
He's a really whimsical kind of guy.
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. To answer the question that may or may not have popped into your head upon reading the title of this video, no, I am not clairvoyant, but I might as well be at this stage. So no, I cannot foresee the future, but I am a millennial who has lived through this weird era of remakes and reboots.
Oh, even Gen Z is reliving through fucking remakes. They're remaking shit that doesn't need to be remade. Oh, another thing, fucking live action remakes. I'm sick of that shit.
Whatnot. So I am, shall we say, quite good at pattern recognition.
God.
Which leads me to firmly believe that the upcoming 2026 Harry Potter reboot is not going to be as terrific as I'm sure HBO is hoping. Sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings. This is not related at all to this subject matter, but I want to tell you
Moana
guys,
remake for
I
the
am
10th
really
time. Let's
tired
go.
and therefore hanging by a proverbial thread, so if I don't show up as much this way in this video and it's mostly just voiceover, please forgive me. If you're new here, this is what I look like. And,
No, it's okay.
and I'm usually in the videos
It's a
more.
hard time.
I am so tired and I don't feel like being on camera. Anyway, if you
That's
have
fair.
been following the news at all, which I'm sure the majority of you have, in late March we were finally given a trailer for the new Harry Potter show, giving us a little snippet into what is to come. If she hasn't been attacked with a copyright claim, editing Sydney will have left in the trailer
Okay,
here for
that's
you
a
to
good
watch,
sign.
but if we have been attacked, then she probably will have added a bunch of stills instead, which are less interesting, but that's the way it is. Either way, the trailer gave us a good look at young Harry Potter living in his little cupboard there under the stairs, being abused by Aunt Petunia. It shows Hagrid being Hagrid. We get a good look at Ron and Hermione interacting with Harry, and importantly, we get a small look at our boy Black Snape. He shows up only briefly though,
Cheese and
illuminating a hallway
crackers,
with
man.
his wand. HBO also seems to have dropped a handful of images of the cast as well. Again, you have Harry pushing a little cart at the train station,
cute.
Dumbledore doing whatever he's doing here, and again we have Snape standing in a forest.
I will criticize the fucking costume. This looks like a rain jacket that I have hanging next to the door that you just throw over, and then the zipper in the middle. I like, say what you want. I cannot stand this fucking costume design.
Against a snowy backdrop. Now, because I am slightly late to the commentary on this topic, I am sure that all of you by now have seen someone somewhere complaining about how absurd this looks. And I know that probably will upset some people to hear, but there is just so much wrong with depicting Snape this way.
And also, like, I don't want to be like, oh, you can't play someone that's dead, but like, Alan Rickman was such, like, he was such an amazing actor, and like, he really put a lot of effort into the Harry Potter series right up until like basically this role ended. It's so like, you can't live up to him. You really can't. I think it's so fucking hard to do it.
What I find
He
so
passed away
funny
like
about
10
the
years ago, and it's like
situation
so
is how
sad.
it's upset both sides of the aisle pretty equally, but for completely different reasons. And I think that in large part has kind of set the stage for what's going to happen to this reboot when it's released. I don't have high expectations. I do have extremely high expectations though when it comes to fighting data brokers on the internet, which is why it's so important that you hear about the sponsor of today's video, Incogn. Because if you Google yourself, you will cry with how much is public. Identity theft. I get it. That sounds like a thing that happens to other people. But unfortunately, bucko, it can absolutely happen to you. As our world gets more technologically advanced, the scammers get more technologically advanced as well. And given the fact that right now your private information is publicly available on hundreds of data broker websites.
I followed someone on Twitter that I thought was a real person, but it turns out it was just like a person scamming to be a person. And it was like a fake, not an AI, but like they modified it, and they pretended to be them and took their Instagram reels and took their like IRL pictures and slightly modified them. And I was so bummed. I was like, damn. No, it was not a bot. It was a real person handling the account.
Things are not looking so good. I am serious. Google yourself. You will be horrified with how much information is out there. Not to mention, websites are being hacked every day and your personal details compromised. So even when you think you're safe, you're probably not. In case you didn't know, this is something that I care about very deeply and very strongly, and honestly, so should you. And that's why I'm so glad to be sponsored by Incogn. Incogn helps remove your information from all these data broker sites without actually having to do the legwork. They find and delete your information from hundreds of websites that store and sell everything about you and your online habits. All you have to do is make an account, give Incogn the right to work for you, and then they go ahead and issue takedown notices. Look, for me, they've saved me thousands of hours of doing this myself, and they've removed over 1,000 entries, and they're still going. They even recently introduced the custom removals process where you can submit links to Incogn for them to delete on your behalf as well, just in case you come across something that needs to be taken down ASAP. And if you're at all concerned about Incogn's data removal process being legit, just know that it's been independently verified by Deloitte. So listen, kids, I know that it's creepy that people want to buy your information so that they can scam you and spam you and pretend to be you and steal your identity. But if you click the link in the description or go to incogni.com/Sydney, you can get on board with Incogn today and stop this from happening. So use code Sydney for 60% off an annual plan. You will feel better when you know your information's not out there publicly.
True.
Yeah. In my initial video that I made about Black Snape a while back, I went into a lot of detail about why it is an enormous cope to suggest that Snape could be anything other than a pasty white boy. And if you're
I've seen the sketches that J.K. Rowling drew back like a long time ago. This was even like I'll admit it. I was a really happy kid growing up because Harry Potter's the reason why my English advanced at some point where I forgot it, and it makes me like appreciate how well written and how fun the book was at the time. So like I did look into it. I did look at the sketches when I was a kid, and I was like, damn, this looks exactly what I imagined in my head before I even knew.
Interested in that explanation, I will link that video in the description. But to quickly recap, J.K. Rowling has a tendency to change canon whenever it suits her. Dumbledore is now gay, for example, which I am actually positive is going to show up in this reboot. Rowling likes to claim that she left her characters ethnically ambiguous, but this doesn't really fly when you...
Yeah, man, I don't know.
You look at her
Snape brooding on the unfairness of life.
Character drawings over the years. Snape is depicted the same.
He's like a you know, an emo kid, you know? Snape, as I always saw him, this was scribbled in 1992 or 3. Although I have spent years denying that Snape is a vampire, one of the more outlandish and persistent fan theories, I must say he does look a little Count Dracula-ish in that cloak. Yeah.
Same way every time. He's also repeatedly described in the books as some variation of white, whether it's pale or pallid, or being the color of milk or having a sallow complexion. You get the picture. Also, when J.K. Rowling wanted to specify that a character was something other than white, she'd be pretty damn explicit about that, either telling you that they were black or Indian or giving them names like Cho Chang.
Thanks. Like, I couldn't have gathered that.
This is the second time you've spoken out of turn, Miss Granger. Are you incapable of restraining yourself, or do you take pride in being an insufferable know-it-all?
Point being, Snape is
Such a
described
good
very
actor, bro.
specifically with his skin color more or less referenced,
know-it-all.
despite everybody trying to argue otherwise. You are wrong. Accept it. Anyway, unsurprisingly, these new depictions of Snape quite clearly sent the internet into a tailspin, leading to a bunch of these mockery videos being made.
Listen up, motherfuckers. This
Not the purple drink in KFC, bro.
right here, this the one.
Nah.
Dropping this motherfucking fried chicken in.
No.
Now watch. This, the motherfucking potion that creates infinite watermelon. Potions is good for
Infinite
everything.
watermelon.
Potions
I
get
want
them
some of that.
galleons.
I'm not even
Potions
joking.
get
I love
super
watermelon.
fine hoes. You need to put a fool on ice? Potions gonna do that too.
What the fuck am I watching?
Hold up. Is that Harry Potter?
People again pointed out how silly
No, she's gonna bring up the hanging him from a tree thing, isn't she?
some plot lines are going to look
Yep.
now, such as having James Potter bullying Snape as a child, having Harry be automatically skeptical of him. Apparently all the rage around this has also led to Papa Asiadu, the actor who is set to play Snape, being sent death threats for his role. Which, you know...
That's not okay. He's also never gonna live up to the hype of fucking being in Alan Rickman's shoes. Like, I'm sorry, that guy was a world-class actor.
Like, I mean, I still get death threats for saying that men can't be women. It is the internet, after all.
True.
And some people
I get
have
death
low
threats
impulse
too.
control. What can I say? This also might sort of be
it's not that
an
big a deal.
unpopular opinion. I'm sure you guys will let me know. But yes, of course, sending death threats, receiving death threats, not okay, not acceptable.
No.
I don't condone that.
No, it's bad.
But I am not super sure what Papa Asiadu, the actor playing Snape, was expecting in this case. He accepted a role for a character that he's not suited for, that he's wholly ill-suited for. People were obviously going to have strong feelings about that. Again, it's not okay.
I would blame
I'm
the
not saying it's
casting
okay,
people.
but I'm also not sure what he was expecting. I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm only a humble tea saleswoman who's been around the internet and seen the same thing happen a million times. Speaking of tea, if you haven't already, you should go and check out my tea website.
I have had her tea, chat. Low-key,
I will link
pretty
it in the
good.
description box. I have a bunch of terrific flavors, and hey, guess what?
I got some for my mom for Christmas. It was
Raspberry
great.
Elderflower Rosé is back in stock, and everybody seems to like that one, so go get yourself a box. Do it now. Go. Link in the description. Anyway, importantly, a bunch of people, me included, are feeling really quite disappointed with all of this and have either decided that they won't be watching or they have realized that this is probably going to suck. And we'll come back to that point. That's
And it's so muted. Do you guys see this? Like, am I crazy? Because, okay, this is gonna go off on a really, like, long tangent, and I'm gonna try and condense it as much as I can, but in the first two movies, the colors were so bright compared to, like, the third movie, the fourth movie, and then the last, like, three movies. It was, like, really dull and muted, but that's because you're showing that it has no... Because they're growing into adults and they're realizing how fucked up it is to live in Voldemort's world, and they're going against him and all this and that, right? That's the whole point, right? Yeah, the story progresses as it gets darker. They get older. They realize they're not kids anymore. But, like, this is... That was a choice. This is, like, this ugly Netflix grade that I absolutely hate. Like, look at them. They're little kids that are running around, and I don't feel any whimsy. And the music's probably not going to be as great because John Williams isn't directing it or composing it.
That's the pattern recognition
Yeah, like,
thing that
I feel like this is just kind of doomed to fail, in my opinion.
At the same time, progressives all over the shop have avowed that they will not be watching this reboot either.
And it's like, what are we doing? Like,
The outlet The Verge even published this fun article headlined, "There is no ethical consumption of HBO's Harry Potter series."
There's no ethical consumption in anything we do, so therefore we all need to live in fucking log cabins and never consume anything, because everything, including McDonald's, like Starbucks, it all funds bad things in the world because we have no control over it, and everybody's gonna keep buying shit and it's never gonna stop. Like, I hate this, like, fucking mentality. Like, oh, we gotta stop. If you do this, then you're a piece of shit. Like, okay. All right. Go ahead.
This piece explains that as much as fans might be excited about this new show, there's no way to watch this show without supporting Rowling's bigotry and the structural violence she's inflicting on a vulnerable minority. That minority being trans people. It also outlines the ways that J.K. Rowling is apparently a horrible transphobe and explains that every penny she makes will be used towards more transphobia. Really what they're describing here is her supporting women's rights. More specifically, those of us who have magical pollen patches? Maybe?
What?
No? Is that? Maybe that's not the euphemism. To be honest with you all, Rowling's support for women's rights has always been mislabeled as transphobia.
She's a very strong advocate of women's rights because she was really, really poor at one point before she became famous and sold the rights to Harry Potter and the publishing and all that. She had to basically live in a women's shelter, and she's a huge feminist. Like, even before, like, I actually think she's not one of those celebrities that just, like, became, like, she became a political activist or whatever the fuck. She actually was, like, a feminist from the get-go. Because of her circumstances. Was she homeless? Yeah, she had to live in a woman's shelter with her tiny little baby, and I think the story goes, like, her first husband was abusive and she had to run away from him in Spain. I'm sorry, I'm not like I'm not like a I only remember this because I read it, like, or watched a video like maybe 5 years ago on it, and I was like, oh damn.
And it's so out of control she's such how many people say she hates trans people, but no one can actually point to anything that she said that was actually hateful. A couple years ago, a Huffington Post journalist once combed through everything Rowling had ever said on the matter of transgenderism and couldn't find a single instance where
Imagine the HuffPo. They were like, we got her finally. Okay, let's do this fucking piece. And then the person, the fucking journalist has to go through and comment. They're like, wait a minute. J.K. Rowling didn't say anything bad. She didn't say anything. Wait, my narrative. No, oh, fuck.
She actually expressed hatred for trans people. Yeah, so by the way, Mr. Seadu, you want to hear about someone who's gotten real death threats? Yeah, well, there's like literal music videos from trans people talking about unaliving J.K. Rowling.
That's fucked. That's fucked up.
So, you know, do with that what you will.
Cringe,
anyway,
man.
I have seen this claim about
I can't even make a music video for my fucking smugglers singing and shit. And this person's like, yeah, you need to die. What? Made a music. This is a music video. Like, yeah, like it's edited. Oh my god, these people have so much free time.
The reality is, like, you shouldn't, because the idea of, like, every time you view that, she's getting a penny, and then that penny's going to fund anti-trans legislation in the UK.
Here is another video from 2025 after the new show was announced.
Just a reminder that any profits made from the new Harry Potter show is going to be used to fund anti-trans organizations.
And here are a bunch of these videos from the last few days. They are really something.
People don't want you to boycott the new Harry Potter show because they're snowflakes who can't handle the fact that J.K. Rowling is a transphobe. They want you to boycott it because watching it directly harms trans people financially.
The only reason that this is happening is because J.K. Rowling is so pissed off that Rupert and Emma and Daniel will not agree with her transphobia.
Wait. Didn't Emma Watson walk back on what she, like, said or something years ago about hating J.K. Rowling? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that happened.
She wants to punish them, and she had to replace them with more compliant children.
What? What are we smoking? Compliant children.
I didn't know you could read.
Anyway, so you might be wondering at this juncture why I am telling you this. And I'm trying to get to the point, Simon, but you rush me. I think that this reboot is more or less dead in the water. And if it's not dead in the water, then it's going to grossly underperform for a bunch of reasons. It has upset OG fans who will never see Snape as anyone other than Alan Rickman, or an Alan Rickman-shaped person.
I will say, if it's actually a good show and it's well written, but at first glance, I don't think it is, just based on like the first shots. It doesn't invoke that sense of whimsy that people had when they were first watching like the movies. I just don't really see it happening, because the other argument to be made is like people are gonna be like, oh well, you know, the far right and the woke left aren't gonna watch it, and like look at Hogwarts Legacy. It's like, yeah, but Hogwarts Legacy was actually a really good like video game to sit down and like play. Like it was worth the $60. Yeah, it's like a soulless reboot. Yeah, but like at least Hogwarts Legacy, even though it's obviously it's gonna use the IP to its advantage and they're using it, it was actually a fun game. Like, I played it. It was great.
Like,
it was worth the $60,
for example. It has also pissed off leftists because they absolutely hate J.K. Rowling and have been attacking Harry Potter for years as a result.
Yeah.
And so it sort of leaves the show in a bit of a weird limbo. I really think if the casting directors had just gone ahead and cast an appropriate-looking Snape, normal people and normal fans would...
I don't think so. I just don't feel it. No offense to these actors or anything, it's just, it doesn't invoke the same whimsy to me. The color grading, the shots, the costume designs and stuff, I just don't think they put in the level of effort they did with the entire movie franchise that they did. And that's because it's a TV series. It doesn't have the same budget. It doesn't have the same forethought as the movies. Poor kids are gonna get so much hate. Yeah, it's not their fucking fault. It's really not.
Be either ambivalent towards this or excited about the show and would be coming to its defense, but instead, it has absolutely set the stage for what we can expect going forward. Harry Potter was something that millennials grew up with. We grew up reading it, we grew up enjoying it, and so when the films were announced in the early days, back when we were young, it was exciting to see this world that we all knew and loved come to life. That is not the case for this younger generation, and they have no emotional attachment to this franchise, just because they might...
I think there was some Gen Z that read Harry Potter and like watched the movies, because like the movies were extremely popular. It was a really easy book to read as well. Gen Z grew up with it too, not just millennials. Yeah, I'm trying to explain this too. I'm like, I feel like it's almost cross-generational. Yeah, like it was a really good book for reading and learning English as well. It's just complicated enough that it's enjoyable for like anyone that's above the age of like 10 or 12. But like if you're trying to learn English, at least for me, when I was trying to relearn it because it was a while since I spoke in English or read English, I really got immersed in it, and it helped me a lot because it's just really well written. I don't know. I keep beating the same dead horse, but like, you know what I mean.
Like it at a glance doesn't mean that they are invested in the same way that we were. I saw earlier someone say that HBO knew that they were going to do some shifty things, which is why they threw the nostalgia viewers a bone, saying that this show would be book faithful. But because we all have eyeballs, we can already see that this isn't the case at all.
Really.
And don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that the original movies were by any means perfect. They weren't.
No.
They left out key characters. They rewrote Hermione's entire personality, basically.
Yeah.
And made her a bit of a Mary Sue.
Yeah, she was supposed to be way fucking nerdier. Like a know-it-all. Like really just a true know-it-all. They girled her up a lot because the actress that plays Hermione, Emma Watson, is quite pretty. And they casted her and they realized like if she was a little bit too nerdy, it might come across as like a little bit condescending. So they kind of girl bossed her a little bit. To make it fit better into the character. Muted,
especially in the 5th movie, where she should have been handing Dolores Umbridge a whole buffet of elves.
I read the book before the movie came out, and my mom and I, because we would read it together to help with my English, We fucking hated Dolores. I would read it with my mom, like, because I would read a chapter and then she would read a chapter out loud with me. And I fucking remember we would just always be shitting on her. We gave her like a nasty voice when we read it out loud. It was cute.
I can't be the only person who hated Dolores Umbridge
fucking
more
hated
than
her,
Voldemort.
too.
A
Yeah.
Dark Lord bent on murder and power, that I can handle, but malicious bureaucracy...
She was such a
They
bitch.
also really unfairly made Ron a lot dumber in the movies
Yeah, I made
than
him a
in the
himbo.
books.
Yeah.
The frickin' mudbloods. But I can almost guarantee that this show will be full of the same unnecessary leftism that we have come to know and love in other resurrected franchises.
I sure hope
Except
not.
I think in this case, it'll be a lot more subversive and a lot less on the nose, but it'll still be there nonetheless. And this is what I meant earlier when I was talking about pattern recognition. I don't think that this show is going to suck because I'm some angry naysayer who just wants to see everything fail. I mean, in this case, I kind of want it to fail because I want them to finally learn the lesson to make something new and to stop race swapping everyone. I say it because we have seen this exact situation play out over and over and over again. A franchise that we know and love and adore and
Star
know quite
Trek.
intimately gets a reboot, and then it immediately gets the modern treatment. I mean, if we're being real, a bunch of videos that I've made recently have been about this exact issue, and it looks like Harry Potter is
the Klingons. The Klingon character being so in touch with their feelings. It's a bloodthirsty warrior race, yeah.
Next one on the chopping
Makes
block.
sense.
Not to mention, I don't really have anything outside of anecdotal observations to back this up, but I feel like they're launching the show for a demographic of people, young people especially, who are not interested in this franchise in the same way that we were as children. They don't have the same relationship to it. And so, you know, not to put too fine a point on it, but what's the point? This was articulated by one of the primary figures who worked on 2 Harry Potter films, Chris Columbus.
I love that.
And on
I
a
love his
podcast in late
movies.
2025, he argued that if the show was largely a play-by-play of the films, then what precisely is the point of remaking it?
So you had to
Money.
cut down the first 2 Harry Potter books into shorter films. When you look at people making these big HBO series who can sort of cover every piece of dialogue on every page, are you jealous of that, or do you think that's less fun?
Oh, I'm sort of like, I'm so beyond it. I did it. My feeling is, okay, I've done that. It's time to move on. I've always had issues with idea of franchise. Same with Potter. I feel like I've done it.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of those films, the first 3 that I was involved with, and I'm moving on. So now it's interesting. As of yesterday, I think I looked in the online, and there were photographs of Nick Frost as Hagrid. Along with the new Harry Potter. And I'm thinking, and he's wearing the exact same costume that we designed for Hagrid. Part of me was like, what's the point? Part of me is like, okay, great. You're doing, I thought it was going to be, I thought the costumes were good. I thought everything was going to be different, but it's more of the same.
And this as an artist, because that's his kind of like his baby, I think like him saying that is really telling, because you want something to be like, I don't know, an interpretation of, not just a regurgitation of what it is, you know? I like the original Hagrid, the actor of Coach Jones played Valentine James Bond. I know. And all of these actors, I think Dumbledore, Professor McGonagall, Snape, they died pretty recently in the last like 10 years, and I feel like they're not, I mean, for lack of a better word, I don't think they're letting them rest, if that makes sense. I think it's kind of a
where
shame.
I land on this issue as well. This show isn't just an unnecessary cash-grabby reboot. It is structurally set up to fail because it remarkably has managed to alienate pretty much everyone who might actually watch it. It has successfully upset both sides of the aisle, but obviously for remarkably different reasons. And when that happens in today's fractured media landscape, the odds of success just plummet. And so we land in this sort of weird place where hardcore fans, or even, I guess, loose fans, are saying hard hard pass because it disrespects the original source material, and progressives are saying hard pass because it exists at all and will result in J.K. Rowling making more money. When both sides boycott or at minimum refuse to defend something like this, the middle ground just shrinks to almost nothing. I'm sure that I've mentioned this before, but one of the things that occurred to me again while I was writing this video is Hogwarts Legacy, a video game released a couple years ago that was aggressively hounded by left-wingers because of the aforementioned J.K. Rowling reasons. They called for it to be boycotted, they attacked streamers who played the game, they bullied Steam, they
made a website to go and harass people that have played the game, because in Twitch Tracker it notes if you've played the game if you put yourself in the category. And for those that don't know, I've said this plenty of times, it was around about the time I started streaming when it came out, and I was thinking about streaming it, but I actually decided against it because I didn't want to get harassed in my first 3 months of streaming, because I didn't know if I could handle it or not. Now I just don't give a fuck, right? But like at the time, I was still a little bit shy. I was like, oh geez, I don't want to cause trouble, even though I don't think this and I don't hate trans people. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to get harassed and like get told that like I'm a piece of shit and I need to kill myself.
Get the game shut down, and yet it did exceptionally well. And if you think the show is going to be a similar situation, well, you can bet your bottom dollar that it probably won't be. Hogwarts Legacy succeeded for 3 primary reasons. Number 1, it was something genuinely new. It's an open world RPG set a century earlier in the Wizarding World, not a rehash of the main story. Second, gamers as a group aren't easily controlled by political whining, unless they're the ones doing the political whining, and in this case they weren't. Third, and crucially, the game didn't actively piss off who would become its core audience before its release. It didn't race swap anybody, it didn't mess with anything. I mean, again, it couldn't have race swapped because it's brand new, so we didn't have any of that information. But the point is, it didn't look like it was being updated for 2023 sensibilities, because that's when it came out. These are all things that this reboot has already done before it's even hit HBO's platform. One of the last things I want to quickly mention is that I do think personalities like Critical Drinker, for example, actually do have a level of influence over whether people will
I would say Critical Drinker and Asmongold and people like that have millions of subscribers. I do think it's still very much too niche to have an influence. I think there's a certain niche community that takes their opinions into account heavily, but at the end of the day, you have to also consider a lot of normies just watch Netflix, and if the series truly does suck ass, they're not gonna play it. That's why millions of copies were sold on Hogwarts Legacy, despite people fucking crying and bitching and shitting their pants about how like it's transphobic and Rowling is a horrible person. Like, because at the end of the day, the normies don't give a shit.
Tune into something or not.
Yes, nice pause. I know.
I know that sounds kind of mad, and I hate to give online people any sort of importance. That's not a knock on Critical Drinker. He seems really nice. I don't know him personally, but he seems really nice. But that said, people do value the opinions of certain online personalities.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe I'm giving these
I just don't think it's that massive an impact that it would sell millions of copies for a video game, for example.
Too much credit, I don't know, but that said,
way
people
too
will
much, like,
often
influence.
turn to
It's not that
YouTube
heavy.
before they even watch or play something because they want to know the cliff notes of whether it's worth their time and energy.
Yeah.
Some of you might remember that Leslie Headland, the showrunner for The Acolyte, admitted in an interview not too long ago that the wave of negative commentary from YouTube channels and fan creators tanked her show's chances of success.
Not that it didn't suck, it's because of those damn YouTubers. Yeah, that's it. That 10,000 viewer the 10,000 view video is definitely the reason why your Hollywood backed fucking show bombed. That costs millions and millions of dollars. It's not because it sucked or anything. No.
Yes, okay. I mean, the show was pretty bad on its own, but there's an element to what she's saying that is true. Countless channels said, don't watch this, it isn't good. And the current drama surrounding this Harry Potter reboot sort of expresses a similar sentiment already. Headland said that these creators are opportunists and snake oil salesmen, but I think the point stands.
Snake oil salesmen would imply that they're lying, that the product isn't what it is. They just show the product and say it sucked. That's their opinion. Like, I feel like when you use the word snake oil salesman, it makes me think like, oh, this miracle tonic is gonna grow hair on your head, but it turns out it doesn't. Like, that's not even a fucking good analogy. You're such a dumbass. No wonder your fucking show sucked.
When creators who actually speak to audiences rip something apart episode by episode, people typically listen, and creators often get even more views than some of these shows do. And these days,
and I would even argue that the value of $1 is even higher nowadays because we're not in a very prosperous state as a people and an economy in the world. And I'm not just talking about Americans. I just think that people are reviewing this shit and be like, okay, is this worth like $30? Is this worth $60? No, okay, maybe I'll just pass for now. Like, it's not even like, they might just be like, oh, well, maybe if I had the kind of money, I would watch it, but they just don't.
People do trust independent voices over corporate marketing. HBO might be hoping that the trailer hype carries it for the next number of months, but if channels like Nerdrotic and Critical Drinker and dozens of others spend the next year cataloging every deviation and every awkward change and every modern update, the show will be poised to fail. It just will. And it will get even worse once the show is released and people can pick it apart, you know, episode by episode, like I said.
True.
Fans have really, really long memories,
maybe they'll have a merit
and
to
bad
it.
buzz, bad energy around something, I think, is death in the streaming era. And I think this is something that is lost on so many producers and apparently even on J.K. Rowling herself at this point. Some of you are going to really disagree with this, and that's okay, but I think there is an argument to be made here that this story is no longer hers, and it hasn't been for quite some time. It belongs to the fans, and I know that that is terribly cliche, and I know that it has a bunch of very wide-reaching implications, but I think in this case, I think it's true. A story to
yeah, I can kind of see what she's trying to make a point here too. With authors who make a lot of work and then one thing pops off, that author is only known for that particular, like, franchise. Like Game of Thrones, for example. I think I watched, like, a video or something talking about Game of Thrones, like, the actual book. And I remember, I think it was just an interview with George R.R. Martin, and he was just, like, saying, like, yeah, it kind of fucking blows because I make a lot of other stuff, but people won't read it, even though I'm still the same person who wrote it. They just really only care about one thing. You become a steward and a shepherd of the source material creator. Yeah, well, the other thing is, with this particular franchise, I will say this. I think if you want to have a really successful, like, franchise, like a manga or a book, if you have the ability to create a story where you can self-insert, like you can be one of the students, for example, and you can create your own character, that is a hallmark of, like, you can make something really popular. Like, if you can make an OC out of it and, like, you're living in a unique world and you can make up shit to, like, put yourself into this universe, that's not an automatic gateway to success, but it definitely is it opens up a massive, like, audience reach. That's the word I wanted to use. Yeah, your audience reach widens so fucking heavily.
It doesn't rise to being universally recognized because of the author or even the publishing company. Rowling has written other stories, and I bet you can't even name them. Yeah. And books get published.
No, I bet you can't. I know that George R.R. Martin wrote a lot of, for example, like, science fiction and stuff like that. I think Rowling wrote a couple of other kind of, like, children's-esque books, but I don't remember the names of them. Yeah, you kind of just get lost in it, to be honest. Yeah, I can see that.
From major companies all the time with little to no reaction from people. It is the fandom that falls in love with it that carries it. And if you go and start abusing it in the name of making money or forcing modern socio-political standards on it, the fans will revolt.
I thought, I will say this, I was a kid when this happened, when she announced that Dumbledore was gay, and my first thought was like, but why? I mean, like, there's no inclination in the book, and, like, Are you trying to open it up for like another book or something? And I guess they did that with the movies, so it kind of made a little bit more sense, but I just didn't see why it had to be like a big deal. I was like, I mean, okay, he's gay, now what? Like, what? That's cool. Awesome. Model. Yeah, it's freezing again. My VTube studio's freezing. Give it a minute. It's shitting the bed. Hello? Okay, I guess my model died. Anyway. Bro, I'm not having a good day, I guess. Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me reset it. Okay, whatever. We're just gonna continue the video right now as is. Okay, I apologize. It's just annoying.
Because when you do that, it's no longer the story that people love. It's effectively bad fan fiction. And Rowling has a bad habit of turning her own masterpieces into exactly that. And that's exactly what this reboot is gearing up to be. Bad fan fiction. Before I round out this video and stop torturing all of you with my talking, I want to say that typically I'm not somebody who immediately determines that something's going to be good or bad based on very little information. I wouldn't normally look at something like a race swap and say, yes, this is definitively going to be terrible, because I don't actually think that's always the case. There might be elements that kind of suck, but maybe the game or show or film or whatever will ultimately be...
I just think it's a sign of them not actually looking at the script material, because they could have casted him as... maybe like... There's literally a scene where Snape is hanging from a tree. Like, that just means that the producers didn't, or the script translators didn't fucking look at the source material, and it automatically pisses me off because they're fucking tourists, and it means that they just want to make a buck off of a thing that I used to like as a kid. It shows that they don't fucking care, and they don't read the shit that they get put on the table for.
Fine. In this case, I think that the writing is somewhat on the wall, and I think there are a bunch of factors that go into that, and I'm prepared to be wrong. I'm totally prepared for this show to come out and everyone to really enjoy it and have a great time. And I mean, maybe that's how it should go.
Maybe it'll be mid, I don't know. Maybe it might be
anyway.
mid.
But I feel fairly confident in my prediction here, and maybe there's some room as we get closer to this show being released and we get more information and, you know, more visual.
Yeah, or the tidbit about James Potter literally not liking Snape just for existing. They'll have to cut that out, because that's like, Snape being black, that sounds so terrible, bro. Yeah, I just hate him because he's just existing.
And
what do you mean by that?
I will make an actual proper video explaining my position on this, but you know, we don't really have much else to go off of for the time being. Ultimately, it really doesn't help that this show is launching during a time when resurrecting existing IP is a radioactive action. For a lot of people, it doesn't make them excited, and I'm sure that I'm not...
People are fucking tired of remakes and live remakes. Oh my lord. I'm so sick of it. Just make original shit, man.
Alone in this, but whenever I hear that
I actually am really looking forward to one movie. Actually, it got recommended to me in an ad. It was The Sheep Detectives. It reminded me of being a little kid again. It's that movie Babe with the talking animals, and I thought that was cute, and I like the main actor in it. What's his name? You guys know who I'm talking about, the guy that plays fucking Wolverine. Hugh Jackman? Yeah. I like him, and even though he's not like featured, he's featured in the movie as the main character. It's mainly about the animals.
Thing that existed during my childhood,
good. I hope it doesn't
is
suck.
Being rebooted or remade or whatever. I think really another one, and so in the end, I do think that this show is not going to be terribly good. I think it's going to be disappointing, and I don't think it's going to do super well with a lot of people. I'm sure that it will have an audience, and I'm sure that it will run for 10 years until they finish telling the story, but I don't think it's going to be as good as a lot of people
I don't think
are
it's gonna run
hoping,
for
and
10
for
years,
that, I am
but-
very, very sorry. Like I always say, when we have this little information, all we really can do is just sit back and watch and hope for the best, but I feel pretty confident in the predictions that I have made here. Now, on that note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder, check out Incogn using the link in the description. I feel very strongly about protecting yourself on the internet. This is not a joke. So if you are worried about all of your private personal information being leaked, being out there, being sold, absolutely check Incogn out. Now I open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Are you on my side of this issue where you think, yeah, this reboot is probably not gonna be very good?
No.
Are you on the other side where you think, no, Sydney, you're being terribly unfair. It's going to be great. Stop being a butthead. Are you in the middle and you don't really care? You just came here to dunk on Black Snape. Maybe that's what you're all about. What do you think of reboots and remakes and whatnot in general? Are they good? Are they bad? Is this one
Original
necessary? Did anybody even
stories,
ask for
yeah.
this? Do you think that the Harry Potter franchise has been done to death and people are wanting something new and they're sick of this?
Yeah.
And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if
You could even tell that people were kind of like not really caring for the Harry Potter franchise anymore. Was with not the spin-off. The what is it called? I watched it on the airplane and I thought it was okay, but it wasn't anything mind-blowing. The Fantastic Beasts. Yeah, exactly. I thought it was fine, but like it wasn't anything mind-blowing.
I made it this far in the video. Congratulations. I always like having you along for the
It was
full ride.
alright,
If you are new
Slop.
here and you're not subscribed already
Sloppa.
and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I can't speak today. Feel free to subscribe to the channel as well as leaving this video a like and a comment because I do read the majority of them and I like hearing your feedback. Like I always say, my little chickadee people, I hope you stay safe and well and make terrific choices, and I will see your wonderful little faces in the next video.
Very nice. Good video. Good little sum up. Woo! Go check her out. Very nice.
Fire, fire, fire.